This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
Are you ready? The champ is here! If you're the man! Give me a hell yeah! What the rock is cooking? To be the man, you have to be the man! Big Papa Pump! Did you hook up? Holler! In the air! Rest in peace. Raw is Jericho! What's you gonna do when Hulkamania destroys you?
I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
What? Yes! Yes!
Welcome to Pro Wrestling Rewind on the PFC Entertainment Network. And we do welcome you to the relaunch of the Pro Wrestling Rewind podcast here on the PFC Entertainment Network. We're actually doing this live across the platforms of our network on Facebook, YouTube, and Riverside.fm. And in just a moment, if you are watching us on either Facebook or YouTube, if you go to the live chat option, you're going to see a link. If you want to be on the show with us, you hit that link, you jump through a couple of hurdles, and it puts you in our virtual waiting room. Because joining me, my very good friend, returning to the network, it's been a hot minute.
Yep.
Bernard Wilson is joining me here on Pro Wrestling Rewind Live. You know, Bernard, you're the reason why this is happening when it's happening. And,
Yeah.
you know, we talked a little bit off air here, and the timing could not be perfect. It's what we like to call the perfect storm that's happened. And then here we are on a Thursday night, like a week out from Christmas. I can't believe it. And,
Years flying by.
It really has been. And but here we are. We're going to do this. We have a very interesting topic that we're going to touch on here tonight. And one more time, if you want to join the conversation, you want to be on the show, there's going to be a link that pops up here momentarily, or you can correspond with us in the live chat option as well. So Bernard, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you, Jason?
Look, I can't complain, man.
Yeah.
Things are going pretty well. You know, all things. You know, we're heading in the right direction, as they say.
Good. I'm glad. As long as you're moving forward, you're moving. Things are good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it could always be worse, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, make no mistake about it. Anybody can look at life as a whole and be like, it's overwhelming, it's this, it's that.
Yep.
Like, it would be too easy to focus on that 24/7. That's not to say that we don't have days that we do, but by and large, there's a lot more positives going on than negatives. So we try to focus on the positives, right?
Absolutely.
And look, this particular endeavor is one of them. And like I said, Bernard is the reason why this is happening, because relaunching Pro Wrestling Rewind was on my list for 2026, but I got a message from him, and he's like, what if this was a topic? And I'm like, well, there it is. So we're going to actually utilize that for this very special relaunch. Look, if you're following professional wrestling, you cannot turn on anything or look at anything without the name John Cena being involved in some way, shape, or form, especially when you look at last weekend, Saturday night's main event, this year-long journey, I guess we can call it, culminates with a match with Gunther in Washington D.C. Streamed live on Peacock. I mean, I'm laying all this shit out because I feel like once we get later on in the show, or we can actually, open it up like this. I just, and anybody who knows me knows I have not been the biggest John Cena fan. I've just never been.
Okay.
Um, I could see what he was, but the gimmick wasn't something that was aligning with what entertained me. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're going to a live event that Cena was in his heyday, you got two chances. Let's go, Cena. I was on the Cena suck side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Which is going to remind me, and I'll save this for the very end of the show. I have a story, a personal one with John Cena. So remind me at the end of the show.
Okay.
And I'll tell you that story.
All right.
But look, man, he's been on this farewell tour in 2025, and I think the majority of hardcore John Cena fans had a preconceived notion of what this was going to look like. They almost felt like they had the book. They should be writing out what John Cena is going to do in his last year. And in some cases, that was the situation. You look at the match that happened with AJ Styles. That would not have been as a part of this tour had the IWC not been so vocal about it.
Yeah.
But when you look at overall, Bernard, how WWE, Paul Levesque, to some degree John Cena too, because he had an influence on all of this. I mean, he kind of earned that right, regardless of how you feel about him.
Yeah.
But overall, when you look back on 2025, the Cena farewell tour, what's your overall opinion of it? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it just there?
I don't think it was bad at all.
Okay.
We have to remember his age. He's been doing movies for, past 5 years or so. So he's not, and no, don't get me wrong, I've never wrestled a match a day in my life, but he was stepping 3 steps slower this whole year.
Sure.
And so, like, you weren't getting the John Cena having the parking lot match with Eddie Guerrero. He's not, out there bleeding like a stuffed pig like he did when you would face someone like JBL. You're not getting the John Cena of old. You're getting the John Cena who's out there doing the hits. This is something I like to say. I was having a discussion with somebody the other day about John Cena, actually. John Cena is the perfect wrestler in the sense that he has things he does. He does moves, but he has the things. Now, I see your face. You look a little confused. Hogan cuffs his ear. Hogan hawks up. Hogan isn't doing that for the person in the front row. Hogan is doing that for the person in the nosebleeds. They see you doing that. They're like, he's doing the thing. John Cena, you can't see me. He's doing that for the person in the nosebleeds. He's doing that for the person at home. That person is getting excited because he's doing the things. He's not doing the moves. He's doing the things. Back in the day, he used to pump his shoes. That gets you excited. He's getting ready to do his big comeback or whatever. But first, he has to do the things. The things are what excites people. And on this farewell tour, he hit the greatest hits. He came out, he saluted. He jogged to the ring. He had his inspirational promos. He can't see me. He did all that. He did the 5-knuckle shuffle. He did the things that excite people that he's been doing. That's where he's at in his career. He doesn't need to be hitting those big moves. I don't want to see big moves out of John Cena because John Cena was never a big move person. You know, the attitude adjustment, I've been attitude adjusted by my older brother, you know? Like it's nothing crazy, like, but what he did right, he did the things and that got people excited. His heel run, I don't think it was necessary. I think that kind of tarnished it a little bit just by the way they turned him heel. It was very sloppy. I didn't need to see The Rock. I didn't need to see Travis Scott. I want to see Captain America John Cena. It's hard to hate Captain America. And that's what it was with his heel run. Like I'm a full-blooded American. You put on Captain America on the TV, I love it. And that's how I see John Cena. I'm a little bit younger than you, so like the John Cena I grew up on, yes, he was a doctor of thugonomics. Was that kind of corny? In retrospect, yes. But eventually he became Mr. Hope. He became Super Cena. It's hard to hate Superman too. Like when he's out there, you know, telling people not to give up. You see him doing all this stuff for Make-A-Wish kids. John Cena is hard to hate. So I think the turning him heel was a mistake. I understand why they did it for the shock value for the IWC, but it was not necessary. Like I said, give me Super Cena. Give me the Cena out there saying never give up. Give me that Cena saluting the flag, running, throwing his hat into the crowd. That's what I want. I want Cena doing the hits. That's all I want. You know, stem to stern. Just give me hits. Give me you can't see me. Give me 5-knuckle shuffle. Give me an attitude adjustment. Get out the ring. Like that's what I need. That's what I think they lost with him being heel for so long during the year. Now, if it was a slow build to him being heel and then turning face, like this whole year he was just a face, that'd be one thing. But like just to turn him heel at WrestleMania, yes, that's shocking. But at what cost? I think you devalue him a little bit by making him a heel because he wasn't around the whole year. It's that Roman thing where like, yeah, you're a heel, but like you're not around. Like if you're gonna be a heel, I need you beating up people in the parking lot. I need you saying I did it for The Rock. Like, you know, I need like a Rikishi callback. Like I need something. But like we didn't get enough of him to be a heel. You get what I'm saying?
I appreciate your point of view on this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not one that I'm used to hearing, if I can be honest with you. I the majority of the people that I have talked to at great length about this whole Cena thing, and even as the year was going, well, I mean, you we do it every other week on the Fatal Four Way, but like I have personal conversations with Brian and Q and you know off air, and I mean we really break this shit down, and I wanted the heel turn,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted it done right.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the majority of it was done in panic mode. It
Mm.
was in case of injury, break glass, and you get Randy Orton, you get CM Punk, you
Mm-hmm.
get AJ Styles. And it's like, man, okay, all right. I'm waiting for the purpose of everything to come to light. Aside from the Cena's first few heel promos were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were so dead on, and like, I understand he was playing a heel character, but I really felt some validity within the way he enunciated those promos.
Yeah.
I was in an abusive relationship with the fans, and he laid it out. And I'm over here, one of those fans that
Yeah.
booed the shit out of him every single week, every single
Mm-hmm.
night, and like I felt that. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm who he's talking about.
Hmm.
And then he turns on his actual fan base and throws a couple of jabs that way. And I'm like, okay, this is something.
Yeah.
But you know who I blame for all this, Bernard?
Who?
The Rock,
Mm.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't going to be committed to the story long term, he should have never been involved in the turn to begin with.
I agree with you on
Because
that. I agree.
it knowing what he is as a board member on TKO and trying to remain relevant in the wrestling space, they could have done one of the most amazing storylines in the history of WWE. But for
Hmm.
whatever reason, The Rock was not there. And he
Yeah.
could have been. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying.
And it's like, wow, you really kind of pulled the plunger out from Cena, bowed, and then just expected him to sink or swim. And I thought that
Mm.
was a bullshit way of going about it.
Yeah.
Like I
It,
felt bad for the first time in my life for John Cena.
yeah, it was just very lazy. Like I said, like he did not really need to go heel. I like to compare Cena to Hogan because I'll just, peel back the curtain. I messaged you saying, like, is John Cena the last superhero pro wrestling? Hogan was a superhero. Over the top, just personality oozing out of his orifices. But I grew up on Hogan, like, the Hogan that I remember the most is NWO Hogan. Like, when I got
Oh,
to when I got to Hogan, he was still red and yellow in WCW. Once I understood pro wrestling, like it was the tail end though. He was feuding with the what was the Legion of Doom or
the
the
Dungeon
guys who
of Doom.
Dungeon of Doom when he's in their lair and he's like the water's cold, brother. Like that's that's the Hogan that I was first introduced to. But then he drops that. I remember watching illegal cable at my grandparents' house when he dropped that leg on Macho Man and he turned heel. Turned out to be the third member. From that moment on, that was my Hogan. It was Hollywood Hogan, and that worked for me because like he was a heel for a very long time, and they got to explore him being a heel. He had perfect foils with Lex Luger and Sting and Goldberg. He had people that were like, we're taking out Hogan. Like we're tired of this. Cena didn't really have any good foils as a heel. Who was his foil? Cody. Like what?
Boy, when you say it like that, it's like Jesus.
Yeah,
Now that this whole thing just took another step backward. You know what I mean?
yeah. Because look at Hogan. Like everybody hated Hogan when he was a heel. The WCW as a whole was getting tormented by three grown men. When you think about it, though, like it was three men against an entire company. Then we fast forward to John Cena. John Cena's been just this prime example of a perfect pro wrestler. He's yes, I'll do that, and I'll do my best. You want me to go to make a wish with the kids? I'm going to do that. You want me to put over so and so? I'm going to do that. Mark Henry in a pink suit is going to slam me in the middle of the ring. Yes, I'll do it. It's kind of hard to be like, okay, he's been this perfect gentleman for 2 decades, and now let's make him a heel because The Rock showed up. There's no story there. There's nothing, and like we got such a short time frame of it. We're gonna consolidate this, but Dwayne's not gonna be here. Travis Scott's not gonna be here. John, make it happen. John, you're gonna beat up on Cody. You're gonna beat up on R-Truth. Who else? Who else is he gonna beat up on? We really got nobody.
Very interesting take. Very interesting take. And when you put it in perspective like that, especially with who did we have as a foil when you compare it to what Hogan had, and brother, yeah, mm,
Hogan had a
back,
monster factory, just giant guys is ready to beat him up. You got Sting in the
right.
rafters every week. Like, I gotta stop this man before we're all homeless. Where's the like where is the urgency to stop Cena? There was none. You had Randy trying to reason with him, like, hey man, this isn't you, this is more like me. No shit. Like, that's like, come on, like you don't really have anything to really get us going with him because he has no real foil. It comes back to it's hard to hate Captain America. He's been such a great guy. Like, yeah, in the beginning he cut those scathing great promos, but after that, okay, little Jimmy's disappointed in you. R-Truth beat 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton beat 1, 2, 3. Finally, that SummerSlam match with Cody was good, but it was like I was saying, he was playing the hits in that match.
Right.
Like, he showed up and was like, I'm going to give you guys the greatest Type 5 you've ever seen in your life. And that's what he did. The match with AJ, again, we're playing the hits. Perfect dance partner for him. He always had great matches with AJ.
Yeah.
So, what do we expect? Like, AJ could have a good match with a blow up doll. So it's just with Cena, it's just he is he's just made to be a face. He's like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Like, he's made to be a face. Now, if we go back to Doctor Thugonomics, yeah, he was a heel, but a lot of that he was finding himself. He was getting over, and then he had the perfect foil in JBL when JBL put him over. JB JBL was so unlikable at that time that you wanted Cena to just beat him. You wanted Cena to make him quit. And then you got Cena out to saying never quit, never give up. You're like, that's kind of inspiring to a whole generation.
I think that's what launched the whole generation. And when you talk about JBL, he was the perfect guy to put Cena over on a main event level.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, John Layfield was the most despised man in WWE for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
Just his gimmick, his character, and he did such a great job with it. You really felt like that's how he really is. He is
Yeah.
that big of an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were ready for. Let me rephrase that. Because JBL was so hated on so many levels, were wrestling fans at a point they just wanted anybody to take the championship off of Layfield, or was it because it was John Cena that made it so special? If they had put somebody else in that spot at WrestleMania 21, instead of it being Cena, would it have made as big of an impact for that guy, or was it this was Cena's time? Because I have a hard time, I have to remind myself that John Cena is for a demographic of wrestling fan what Hulk Hogan was for my age group.
Mm-hmm.
When you say your Hogan was Hollywood Hogan in the mid 90s, mid to late 90s in WCW, I'm over here half mind blown thinking, shit, you completely missed the entire first run of it, and
Mm-hmm.
just what a stranglehold the movement of Hulkamania had on pop culture, not just the wrestling business,
Mm-hmm.
pop culture. That dude was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then they started making cartoons and all this other shit. So when you use the term superhero, like that fits Hogan to a T. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I look at it and I'm hearing what you're saying, And I think of how my kids, because I mean, when my kids were into wrestling, John Cena was their guy.
Mhm.
He was their Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And I found myself making that comparison from then on out. Like, yep,
Mhm.
this is it was Hogan, and then you had Austin, and then you had Cena. Now the
Mhm.
Austin thing was more reality based, where you could make a strong argument for Hogan here and Cena here.
Mhm.
Damn, these are legitimate superheroes.
Yeah.
Um, so it begs this question: is Cena the last one? Is there anybody else in WWE or AEW or anywhere else that hasn't made a national splash yet?
Mhm.
Is there somebody out there that's going to be able to take the mantle and become the next over the top superhero in professional wrestling? The closest thing that I feel like that we've seen is Rey Mysterio to a degree, but Roman Reigns as that over the top, head
Mhm.
and shoulders, front and center. This is the guy. He would be the most recent one, but I don't even know if I can put him in the category of superhero. What's your opinion on Roman?
On Roman, to me, Roman is all these years since he left the Shield, he became the big dog, and now the tribal chief. There hasn't been any real growth, as in like a role model, since his character is kind of that he's just an asshole. It's really just like if you were to ask me describe the Roman Reigns character, I'd be like, well, he's he bullies his cousins. He just kind of complains. He wears Jordans. Like that's kind of just what he is. Like he doesn't embody like a role model aspect to me. As like if I had kids and they were like, "Hey, who do you think your kids could see as a wrestling role model?" I'd say John Cena. I would probably say Cody Rhodes. I would say to a lesser extent CM Punk, and then probably run down maybe a Jeff Hardy. But other than that, that's really all you got. And none of them are even touching Hogan or Cena as far as like a role model goes. Because like
But
we
Cody's
really
trying.
Cody's too polished. That is Cody's problem. And I'm gonna say something, and you're either gonna agree with me or you're gonna be like, you are out of your mind. The Cody character is selfish. Let me explain. Yes, the story was for him. But since then, what has he done for the fans? Cena gave the fans hope. Every single match. Never give up. He's out there giving hope. He's saying we can do this. That's the Cena character in a nutshell. Hogan, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, brother, stay in school. What is Cody saying? Cody's promoting vodka and drinking with Jey Uso. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But Cody's motives don't come off as selfless. The character itself is not selfless. I'm sure Cody is a nice guy. I'm a lovely man. But his character in WWE is selfish, whereas John Cena is selfless. When you watch a John Cena match, you are John Cena. We are fighting evil. We are fighting Umaga. Like we are, you know, doing this together. Like that's what he gives off. Cody's just out there being a politician. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with that, but he's a little too polished. You could say Cena was polished, but Cena, you could see the cracks in Cena's humanity. Cena would use the chair. Cena, he wasn't above choking somebody out, but you got Cody out there in a suit every day, John Cena's wearing jorts. More people wear jorts every day than they wear suits every day. Like Cena is a lot more relatable. From just like Cena, you look at his physique. That's a good physique of like a person who really wants to take care of themselves. Like that's a physique that like if I were a young boy, that's a physique I would want to strive for. Nothing wrong with Cody's physique, but the way John Cena talks about weightlifting and how his journey, he was sleeping in his car, he was working at Gold's Gym. Now Cody comes from nepotism, he's son of Dusty Rhodes. Cody's been vocal about his struggling, but Cody had a leg up. You don't get a lot of people in wrestling getting a leg up. Like he's got name value. His brother was a wrestler. His dad was a wrestler. Like he's got a little more. Where Cena, his story is, I went to college. I studied sports medicine or whatever, and I was sleeping in my car. I was working at the gym. I lived and breathed pro wrestling. I got into the pro wrestling business, and I did everything that was asked of me to my best ability. I went out there, had great matches. I spoke to the people. They booed me. I smiled. Tribute for the troops. I'm over there every year. I'm doing exactly what they asked me to do, and I earned my rewards. I'm not saying Cody hasn't earned his, where he's at, because Cody, he went on that hero's journey. He was in the indies making a name for himself. But John Cena has never walked away from the WWE. He started there. He's going to end there. He is a company man. I was going to say this to the end, but let me ask you this real quick. If you were to start a wrestling company, would you have John Cena as your number one babyface? I say yes. And just in this hypothetical, money is no option. I can pull people from any generation. My number one heel is Vader. And I'm making John Cena go through every single monster I can think of. He's going against Bam Bam Bigelow. He's going through Big John Studd. Because that John Cena character is hope. It is fighting somebody bigger than yourself. Something scarier than yourself. So, if John Cena had like a Vader, oh my God. You would probably think he was the greatest man alive. If that John Cena character is going against a Vader with the mask, the big mask, and he's got the ladies screaming his name, like that Vader versus the John Cena character, that is, to me, that's a storyline worth writing. John Cena has fought all these big guys, and he was able to conquer. Where are we getting at with Cody? Where are we getting at? I don't know if it's just a lack of like he doesn't have the people to work with for his character, but you mentioned Austin. Austin was fighting his boss. Right. Everybody's had a boss they hated. That's something you can like. Oh wow, yeah, I hate my boss too. I think I can, I think I want to kick his ass. And then you look at Hogan. Hogan had all those big guys to wrestle, and Hogan was out there. Like I said, he was playing to the crowd. He didn't need to do anything crazy in the ring necessarily. He's cupping his ear. He's getting people involved. You're like, oh, he's doing the thing. Let's get happy. But like he had adversaries. Cody doesn't really have that. Like, it's just is what it is. Like, it's a superhero versus compared to an average man. That's what Cody kind of is. He's just like an above average guy. And on the opposite end of the belts, you got CM Punk. CM Punk, normal dude, but CM Punk is more likable. I'd much rather listen to a CM Punk talk about the Blackhawks, and I'm a diehard Red Wings fan through and through. But I'll listen to CM Punk talk about the Blackhawks for an hour. I don't want to listen to Cody Rhodes have a manufactured conversation while drinking a Moscow Mule. I want to listen to John Cena in an interview talk about how much he loves pro wrestling, how much he loves acting, how he learned Mandarin for a commercial. Like, you're not getting that with Cody. And I know this is kind of becoming the Cody bash, but it's just we're losing our superhero right now. He put the cape down, and I don't think there's going to be anyone to fill the void for a very long time. We could have a Dom Mysterio. He could be the dark horse because he's still young. But right now, I think it's going to be another one of those. There's going to be another generation of no superhero, and then somebody's going to come. It could be somebody in NXT. It could be someone on the main roster. I'm not thinking of right now. And to answer an AEW question, none of them are in that conversation. None. And I'll watch AEW, but none of those are, because I'll go on my little AEW tangent real quick. They bleed too much.
100%.
They bleed way too much. They're too vulgar. Pro wrestling is violent. It's just the nature of it. But not every match needs thumbtacks. Not every match needs a chair shot. An unprotected chair shot to the head. No, we don't need broken glass in this. Like, it's, to me, the wrestling that you grew up on and the wrestling I grew up on was violent, yes, but it was still family friendly. You could justify taking a 5-year-old to see, WWE live. You can't. I couldn't justify.
Era.
Yeah, up until the Attitude Era.
That the whole Attitude Era thing, like, that shit was directed towards 18 to 35-year-olds for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I think Cena, for my generation, I think this is why he's as polarizing as he is, because that dude, whether he wanted to be or not, got placed front and center at the transition from this high-octane Attitude Era where anything goes. No, I mean, you tuned in because for the shock value. You knew something was going to happen, whether it be language or violence or sex or whatever the case may be. Then they decide that they're going to go back to a more, PG era. Well, John, you're our guy. You have to convince our fans that it's okay to put the Attitude Era behind us and embrace this new era, the ruthless aggression and all this other shit. A very unenviable situation. So I think that's why there's a lot of people that grew up as wrestling fans in the 80s. We looked at John Cena like, nope, you're not the one.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the one. You're not our one.
Mm-hmm.
You're too white meat baby face for me. So
I got to push back to you on this.
Okay.
You say this, but to me, your kids, your grandkids, it's more digestible to introduce them to the John Cena wrestling than it is Stone Cold driving a beer truck, a bra and panties match. It's a lot more digestible for a small kid to introduce them to a John Cena as opposed to a Stone Cold.
I will grant you that.
I think and by doing that, you're making new wrestling fans. I think a lot of us old wrestling fans are so stuck in our ways, like the golden era was the only era that mattered. But for pro wrestling to grow, we have to evolve. We have to bring a new generation in. People have changed. That generation that grew up on the Ruthless Aggression, John Cena, PG era, they're starting to become adults. They're introducing their kids to pro wrestling. And pro wrestling does have to change to meet the times. Like, it can't always be just this raunchy Jerry Springer between ropes. We do need a John Cena. We're coming full circle to the superhero thing. People need that. They need something to be like, wow, that's a good person. That's good versus evil. That's something
Role
that's
model
inspiring.
quality.
Yes, role model quality. And that's where you get a John Cena. That's where you get the Hogan. And we lost that in the middle, and we're about to lose it again now that John Cena's gone. Because there's about to be, I think they're really going to be scrambling for somebody to make that person. Like I said, Cody ain't it. Punk ain't it. I don't know who is going to be it. But I think we're going to have a generation kind of lost where there's no real person that's the role model, the it guy. Because there's always been an it guy, and right now we're not gonna have one. And you know, in time, I'm sure it'll come back around. But for right now, he's leaving a very big hole in pro wrestling.
I just didn't think. Look, I get it, and
Mm,
I respect your opinion. To me, I didn't look at it as a big hole for all of wrestling on the surface. Like, oh,
mm,
okay, Cena's coming back. He's going to have one pretty lengthy run here throughout the course of this year, his retirement tour. But this is coming off of the last 3 or 4 years where we've barely seen him at all. And like I got invested in it because okay, they're really doing this retirement tour. I recognized where he's at in history. I recognized what kind of superstar he was. He was the face of WWE for a generation of fans. My
mm-hmm,
kids were included in that. They don't really pay attention to it now, but back in the day, man, like for my son, it was all about Austin.
mm-hmm,
And I just I recognized what he was. I just wasn't a fan of how the gimmick within the ropes was presented. It wasn't my thing. The spinner belt, the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in terms of title belts. Like that thing
mm-hmm,
was atrocious and I hated it.
mm-hmm.
Hated it. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But I can also, you know, take a step back and look at it and be like, from a marketing perspective, it's genius. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
sell a shit ton of these toy
And they did.
replica belts, and they did.
Mm-hmm,
It became part of the identity of John Cena. And okay, I got it. Doesn't mean I have to root for you. Doesn't mean I
mm-hmm,
have to cheer for you because, you, like I see you, I hear you, I know what you are, but you're not my guy.
mm-hmm,
And it's like what you were saying, we need to, us fans, need to continue to evolve with the times. Make no mistake. I mean, if you're going to pay attention to wrestling, you're going to evolve one way or the other.
mm-hmm,
You just did. Or you just quit watching it because it frustrates you so bad because you long for the days of yesterday.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, I don't do that. I'll go back and I'll revisit the days of yesterday, but I
mm-hmm,
can also look at today's product both as a fan and at from like being in the business
mm-hmm,
and like what's the strategy here? What's the booking strategy? Where are they going with this? But then I can also look back as a fan and not pay any attention to what the writing was. And I found myself doing that on Saturday night. It's main
mm-hmm,
event with Cena and Gunther. I wasn't able to watch it live, so I went, but I stayed off of social media, and I went back and rewatched it. Because I wanted to go into it with fresh eyes,
mm-hmm,
and that match, as I'm watching it, and I'm watching the crowd, and I'm listening to how the commentators are talking and all this shit. I'm like, man, and I found myself thinking, this is in this era. This is going to be one of those events that people are going to go back and revisit for quite some time.
yeah.
and knowing that, and having to believe that the decision makers at WWE would also take that into consideration, we would have gotten something different for Cena's last match. Number one, I'm not really sure why we put it on Saturday night's main event. If it was still broadcast on your actual NBC, you know, local network,
Mhm.
fine. I get it. Make it prime time. They're not going to get Hogan Andre numbers, but they'll bust a respectable numbers in prime time on a
Mhm.
Saturday night. Um, Streamed on Peacock. Peacock, meanwhile, is dumping or they're relinquishing the WWE library. You know what I
Right.
mean? But we're going to put John Cena's last match here live. Gunther. I love Gunther.
Mhm.
Gunther. Michael Cole said the most definitive statement after that match on Saturday night. Professional wrestling just destroyed sports entertainment.
Yeah.
And I could not agree more. What a what a poignant statement Michael Cole made. 'Cause I love Gunther. I love how old school he is. He's throwback. He is a classic heel. But man, Bernard, they really had an opportunity. You keep referring to Cena as a superhero, as Captain America, and things of this nature. I went on the air a couple of weeks ago and I said, man, if Gunther hadn't won the tournament yet, but I was like, if they go Cena Gunther, they could have really had their own real life version of Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago
Mhm.
if they had portrayed it right. But everything felt so goddamn rushed, and people are going to have an opinion on the tap out. Was it the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do? What was the smile about? This, that, and the other thing. So when you look at everything that happened in this last year with the number of opponents that Cena has had, um, winning his 17th world title, which I'm really glad that he did, by the way. Um, it all culminated with Gunther on Saturday night's main event in a 19,000 seat arena in Washington D.C. I just felt like he should have gotten something more, something bigger. What's your opinion on this last match that he had with
I
Gunther?
I like the match itself. I thought it was a fine match for John Cena in his current state. Gunther was a perfect opponent for him. Just big foreign menace. WWE loves a foreign menace, and I think the tap out. I didn't love that he tapped out. I would rather see him pass out, but
Yeah,
that's a little nitpicky. But using my own analogy, we watched a superhero become human, you know, with him passing out. That was a very human moment because for so long in his career, he's been Super Cena. He's been this just unbeatable person, but in reality, he was human. It's like when the Wizard of Oz, you find out he's just a little short guy. Like that's kind of that's where my mind went. Like he's human at the end of the day. We're all human. His fan base, the people who watched him when they were little, are all adults now. Like we all became human. Like you can't win them all. So I understand him losing. Like I said though, I'd rather for him to pass out than tap out. But he did the right thing. I like that he did go out on his back, looking up at the lights. That's That's what I like. I like to see if I know you're leaving, go out looking at the lights. Like this is what it is. Like he did the right thing. He had the right opponent. Wrong place. I would like to see it at a PLE, a little something bigger. I would prefer to if he like if it worked out that way, he probably would have went on at SummerSlam. I think it would have been a better stage because it's one of the big four. But
More
you know,
so than the Survivor Series.
yeah, yeah, more so than Survivor Series. Survivor Series has lost this je ne sais quoi. It's not. They do war games too much. War games doesn't need to happen every year. That's just my opinion. But they do a fine job with war games because I grew up on war games. I know war games, but
Right.
I think they do it too much. I would rather see traditional Survivor Series.
That seems to be a growing opinion. Like we were all excited about the concept of war games until you start getting 3, 4 years in a row now, and I'm with you. Like that should be a special attraction.
Hmm.
Kind of like what we were saying about things like Hell in a Cell. Like
Hmm.
damn, you're gonna really have 3 Hell in a Cell matches on one card. It kind of loses its luster. Not to
Hmm.
mention that they painted the motherfucker red, but that's a whole other story. Um, but I'm with you. I wish they would go back to the more 4-on-4, 5-on-5 elimination tag team matches. That's what made the Survivor Series so cool.
Yeah.
Um, because when you start doing it every year, war games, I mean, you start scrambling for what match are we going to put in this cage that's going to make sense, that's going to make people invested.
Hmm.
And I felt like this year, like, yeah, it was an all star team in a lot of respects. You had both your world champions on one side and, your major heels are on the other. Like, great and all, but I felt like especially with the babyface side, I'm like, man, you just threw guys on the team and it made zero sense.
Hmm.
The war games you're talking that you grew up on back in the Crockett days. I mean, generally it was the four horsemen against somebody. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You
And it
you
was
had
Ric Flair being a chicken shit heel the whole time. You got Arn Anderson in there doing all his dirty work. And then you got Ric Flair coming in strutting, putting somebody in the figure four leg lock. And that's war games to me.
right.
But
You're right.
this new what they should have done with Cena and Survivor Series, it should have been Cena and his greatest rivals or whoever on one side versus like his biggest ops. Like it could have been a 4-on-4. Like John Cena gets 3 friends against his like people that he's had matches against. Throw Orton, throw the Miz, throw whoever on there. You got Cena, you got R-Truth, you got Cody. It should have been a fun War Games. It's not War Games. I'm sorry, Survivor Series. It should have been just us, almost like an exhibition match, like just something like, you know, it's us against you. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna give the fans. We're doing fan service. That's what it should have been. But they are really loving the War Games for some reason. Like I I think in the next couple of years, people are really going to turn on them for that because they're overdoing it.
But you also know that if they were to decide that they're not going to do war games next year, there's going to be a side of the IWC that's going to lose their minds. And they're going to,
Hmm.
why are you taking the one thing that we look forward to away from us and blah blah, like it's coming. In this day and age you're not going to make everybody happy, but I agree with you. But war games, Hell in the Cell, you can make an exception for the Elimination Chamber because it's been positioned as such a pivotal part on the road to WrestleMania.
Hmm.
So I can get behind the Elimination Chamber. Um, but I don't know. I guess anything that has like the War Games and the Hell in the Cell, you really need to dial these back so they don't lose their luster. And
Whatever happened to a good old classic cage match?
See, Hell in a Cell fucked that up, Bernard, because when people started seeing what kind of shit can go on, and I kind of low key blame Mick Foley for this.
Hmm.
When he went off the top of Hell in a Cell, that killed the traditional cage match. It really did, because in our day, when we were younger, if there was a cage match, it was the blow off for a long, violent rivalry.
Yeah.
Um, in the shades of Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard at Starcade, Hogan and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, like that's one of my favorite cage matches. Morocco and Snuka. I mean, you can go right on down the line. I can go back and remember seeing footage of San Martino and Koloff. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so it's the cage match. The purpose of the cage match isn't what it used to be, and because as the business has evolved and we get structures as impressive and imposing as Hell in the Cell and the Elimination Chamber, um, the regular cage match just seems like, meh, it is what it is.
I remember a few years back, Braun Strowman and Big Show had one of the greatest cage matches for big men. That that's what you need, like just a classic cage match. Nobody coming in. You got one guy trying to escape for his life. Like that's what you really need to go back to. I, me personally, I wouldn't call myself a purist with pro wrestling, but like we got to cut back on weapons. We got to cut back on gimmicks. We got to stay in the ring.
Oh, so you
You,
want them to actually wrestle?
I want them to. You don't even got to wrestle. You got to tell me a story. Dudes aren't working over body parts anymore.
No, Bernard, because everybody's so goddamn worried about how many flips can I do through the air before I land on this dude's skull and damn near crush it. They're not worried about the storytelling. They're worried, and they're not worried about long term impact. They want that 15 seconds of viral fame because they
Hmm.
did something incredibly stupid. They just happened to gain some sort of attention, like, wow, that was unique. I hope that dude's not fucking dead. And
Hmm.
it's this is where it gets difficult to evolve with the business because
Hmm.
the more these younger generations are, kind of latching on to pro wrestling, they're trying to pull it away further and further from the foundation of what made it professional wrestling and
Hmm.
not an exaggerated, you know, orchestration of Circus Soleil. I mean,
Hmm.
what the fuck do you guys want? These are
And this
human
goes
beings.
back to what I said. Hogan and Cena do the things. They don't need to wrestle and do all these crazy spots. Cena's doing "You Can't See Me." Oh my God, people are going crazy. Hogan is cuffing his ear, and people are losing their minds. That is what professional wrestling is. Yes, you got to do the moves, but you don't have to hurt somebody. Like you do the things that people get excited for. Once you can establish things people get excited for, less is more. People always knock John Cena for having 5 moves of doom. Bret Hart had 5 moves of doom, and people say he's the greatest wrestler of all time. I argue that Owen was a better wrestler, but that's a conversation for another day.
Could be
Owen's sharpshooter looked Owen's sharpshooter looked better.
oh shit. See, here you are trying to stir the pot. You're gonna get some people fired up over a statement like that. But look, I can't argue with you. Look, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to come back revisit Bret the Hitman Hart because
Mm,
Jesus, this guy.
yeah.
He is now fallen under the Ric Flair file for me as go home.
Yeah.
Go home and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the rest of your days with your family. Get the fuck off social media. Quit doing public appearances. You're embarrassing yourself. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
Stop. Because I'm losing more and more respect for Bret Hart the more this
Mm-hmm.
guy talks. And I'm trying
Yeah.
to take into consideration maybe this is the residual effect from his stroke. I don't know how else to make sense of
Mm-hmm.
it. And it sucks because I do respect him as a wrestler. And I do respect who and what he was at a very pivotal time in WWE. Um, but goddamn, get over
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Get
Yeah.
over yourself. Your
But
days are
you look,
done, Brett.
yeah, but you look at the John Cena and how he conducts himself outside the ring. Like, this guy's got some professionalism. Like he's media trained.
Oh
You
yeah,
just listen,
100%.
and it's not. It doesn't come off as fake. Like I said, Cody's media comes off as fake. John Cena is just professional. He's well spoken. He speaks slowly, so you can really hear it. You know, speaks with conviction,
Hmm.
and you're not getting that from a Cody Rhodes. You're not. You're just not. And to go back to the other spectrum of Hogan, Hogan in his heyday when he would do stuff, he was the character most of the time, but that character was like, man, this is kind of cool. Like, he really is Mr. Eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, say your prayers. He was always that in the public facing. Now, towards the latter years, you saw more what his real personality was. But when he was in the zeitgeist of society, he was Hogan. John Cena is John Cena in the ring, outside the ring. He's that guy. Like he's very believable. If something came out that John Cena really wasn't the way he was, I would be very disappointed. And I'm a grown man.
Right.
That would hurt me finding out that John Cena really isn't like that. So that's where it comes to. Like he is wrestling's last superhero. He is what other pro wrestlers should strive for. He is a great role model for young men and young women. He is exactly what he says he is outside that ring. In the ring, like he's not the flashiest, he never was. But he got the job done. He did the things because that is the most important part is doing the things. And Cena could tell a story, like him or love him. Cena could tell a story in that ring. Just saying, he's wrestling's last superhero.
Bernard, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for bringing this to the show this week.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome.
you really you know you going further would do it injustice because you just brought it right back around so beautifully
Yeah.
and tied a bow on it, and you bring up some very well thought out, intelligent um, opinions and remarks that has me thinking about stuff like, wow, yeah, I never thought of it
Hmm.
like that,
Yeah.
and I can totally see where you're coming from, and I can
Hmm.
respect that.
Thank you.
Um, as we start to wind this down, I'll go ahead and tell my quick personal John Cena story. But before I do, let me remind you, if you haven't done so already, go check out our online store, pfcstore.printify.me or pfcholidays2025.printify.me. That has all of our holiday themed merchandise, T-shirts and tree skirts and ornaments and stockings and all kinds of gimmicks over there with all of our logos of all of the great shows here. And as a programming note, Fatal Four Way will be back on the air tomorrow night, Friday, beginning at 6 p.m. We are scheduled to be at the studio in Lake Orion. However, With inclement weather and being in a forecast, there may be a change of plans, so we invite you to stay tuned to our social media accounts for the latest information on tomorrow's episode, year-end episode of the Fatal Four Way. It's part of the PFC Entertainment Network. All right, so let me set the scene. Excuse me. I believe it is 2012. And we got tickets to a house show at the Breslin Center at Michigan State University. And the main event was WWE Champion Sheamus putting the title on the line against John Cena in the main event. My son is with me, and make no mistake, like I've mentioned here, Cena was his guy. Well, through a series of conversations that we had once we got to the Breslin Center, I don't want to go into details, but let's just say promos were cut. Uh, Long story short, we wound up in the front row,
Okay.
aisle side. So we were like right there in the corner. So it was my son, me, my brother, my ex-wife, and I think whoever Jeff was with may have been with us. Main event comes. It's Sheamus and Cena, and everybody around me cheering for Cena, including Jeff.
Yeah.
I just want to document that. I'm the only guy, Bernard, cheering for Sheamus. And I mean, I am loud and I obnoxious. You can hear what my voice sounds like now. You watched me in the MWO when I was, in that world. So my voice carries, and I
Oh yeah.
understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, everybody, the shit I was hurling at Cena. And I kept in mind there was a lot of kids, so I kept it very PG. But
Yeah.
I'm busting the parents up and I mean I am jaw jacking Cena, man. He got thrown out of the ring like right in front of us, and I was relentless on him, and I did it just to piss my son off, if I could be honest, because like, get on, John, shut up,
Yeah.
Match is over. Cena wins by disqualification, and he's the last one. He's like Hogan must pose. Well, Cena must do his shit after the match is over. He gets out of the ring and he's going around the perimeter of the ring. He starts on the far side away from us because, like I said, we were right there in the corner where the aisle was.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for him to come around, and he's shaking like everybody's hand that's up against the rail, which again I appreciate from a human perspective. Totally get that, He comes around and he's shaking everybody's hand and high fiving, and like I said, Jeff's right next to me. He high fives Jeff. There was I don't know who was right between me and Jeff. I don't remember, but he high fived them. I held my hand out, and Bernard, I shit you not, Cena looked at me right dead in my eyes, and went to my son. Didn't even hold his hand out or nothing.
Yeah.
And Jeff oh my God, you just got ghosted by John Cena. He's like, I wish I had kept. Oh my God, that was the greatest thing ever, and it was, dude. I laughed about it. I was like, I do see you, you son of a bitch. I said that too. I was like, I do see you, you son of a bitch. And I was just like, God damn. How about that? Yeah. So that's my John Cena story.
That's a good story, though. He heard you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
So
he heard you.
The first 20 rows behind me too. That was loud.
Yeah.
And and I was there with my kids, so it wasn't like I was out there partying or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like I was
Hmm.
just legitimately having a good time. No,
Yeah.
number one, I was happy as shit that we wound up because we were like in the next section up, and
Hmm.
because there was a snafu of sorts,
Yeah.
um, we wound up getting ringside, and
Hmm.
it was a good night. It was a good
It
night.
sounds like it. It sounds like it. It sounds like it. Made some good memories.
Yeah, no kidding. It was cool. It was really cool, but not as cool as hanging out with you, my friend.
Oh
This
man.
was this was a good time.
Yeah, we gotta do it again sometime. I got some ideas. You know who I would like to discuss with you? Junkyard Dog.
I'm
I
down.
think I think that would be a JYD would be a good subject for us.
I was a big fan
Hmm.
of the Junkyard Dog, and when he came across my radar, it was during the whole rock and wrestling thing when he was in the WWF, and that was after he had spent time in Mid South and was the biggest star in Mid South.
Hmm.
So yeah, bro, we can do Junkyard Dog. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
we'll reconvene off air, come up with something. But yeah, pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much for having me on.
Anytime, my friend.
Okay.
Anytime. I really enjoy our conversations. So
Yeah,
it was
it was a lot of
it's been a
fun.
good time. Yeah. All right. For everybody else, we appreciate you tuning in, whether it be live here across our platforms or on demand on the RSS feed on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. With that, go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we will see you next time on the Pro Wrestling Rewind on the PFC Entertainment Network.